Hello and welcome to Chronicle Training. I'm Retta and I'm going to be your trainer for today's webinar. So if you have any questions, feel free to email them to me at webinar@gochronicle.com or training@gochronicle.com, or you can post a question in the Go To Chat feature, which is in the lower right. Our class today is going to be how to design a powerful performance-based bonus program. Such a program can increase your company's profitability while also resulting in more satisfied employees. And to do this, we base the bonus program on several things. Criteria such as work completed, money collected, profitability, well-managed jobs, and good customer service. And we use multiple facets of Chronicle to bring it all together in the bonus program. So let's take a quick look at the parts of Chronicle that are needed in the Bonus Manager. I want to start with Main System Setup. We're going to look at the Job Roles tab. The upper left shows the roles that you have in your system. The ones that we're going to be talking about today are Coordinator, Estimator, Project Manager, and Sales Rep. To the right, we can see our list of employees, and we're going to meet Frank, who is our sales rep. Bjorn and Peter are project managers. Mary and Catherine are estimators. And David Tennant is our coordinator. We're also going to take a quick peek at a job file. And we're going to see the Department and Activities tab, and the activities. Our activities completed on time is something that the Bonus Manager looks at. Agent was completed on time, but the monitoring and moisture readings were completed late. We also need to know who is the key role on the job of Sales Rep, which is Frank, our Project Manager, Bjorn, Mary, the Estimator, and David, the Coordinator. We also have a Documents tab. The bonus program wants to know whether documents were entered in a timely fashion. We also want to check feedback. That's another thing that the Bonus Manager is going to look at. This job has a negative feedback. They did not like how the job was done, and quality of work. I want to now take a look at the Labor Manager. The Bonus Manager bases rules off of hourly employees and salaried employees, and the rules are different for each. Only the ones that have hourly rates are shown in the Labor Manager. As you can see to the upper left here, we have 4. And I want to look at a specific job. And I want to extend the time frame. For the specific job that I'm working with. And there we have the labor hours recorded for job 9027. We can see that Jason was only on this job for 2 hours, that Frank was actually on the job for 18 hours. The Bonus Manager is going to look at these hours recorded in here, multiplied by the rates, and determine the bonus prorated per each employee. Now I want to go to the help. I want to go to the bonus incentive. We have a lot of information here about how to set up your bonus program and why we do things the way we do in the Bonus Manager, but I want to go down to the sample percentages because that's where we're going to spend a lot of time working out in the bonus program. So the list we see here first is for salaried employees on construction jobs. The first thing you need to decide, we've got Project Manager to the left, Sales Estimator, Construction Manager, Coordinator. Each employee that fills these roles, you need to decide what their job description is. In this particular example here, this project manager not only sells the job, but writes the estimate and manages the work. Therefore, these sample percentages here, 17% upper right-hand corner, suggested bonus percent of gross profit, non-program work, 17%. That means if the gross profit of the job is 50% or more, this project manager is going to get 17% times the gross profit, and so forth down through the line. So what you define your project manager, what you have them do, can determine those amounts. And if your project manager does not have that much responsibility, for example, your estimator specifically does estimates and the project manager does not, you might want to reduce that percentage. We also have some sample salary rates here. You give them a base pay, and then on top of that they can earn bonuses. Your marketplace is going to determine what these percentages are. These are just some that Chronicle's founder has used. We're going to be basing our rules off of these percentages. I also now want to go down to look at water, fire, packout, our disaster restoration. And notice in the gross profit column, 85% or more is the highest level. So construction jobs, you're looking for 50% or more gross profit, and damage restoration, you're looking for 85% or more. So a project manager who sells jobs and writes estimates and manages works can get upwards of 14% times the gross profit for non-program work. Sample percentages for sales and marketing. Sales typically does not have a lot to do with production, other than our project manager above. A marketer just markets. So we give a suggested bonus of 4% of the collected amount. Doesn't matter what the gross profit was for the calculation here in the bonus manager, you're going to give them 4% for bringing the job in. And we also have at the bottom of the screen a chart for hourly employees. How do we figure out a bonus for them? And it's going to be labor rate based on paid or collected amount. And we're going to talk about that rule in detail when we make one. But we're looking for these jobs to have 15% or less, or 16% or less labor on the job. Anything over that 16%, and there should be no bonus. Now I would like to go to the bonus manager itself. The Setup tab is where you're going to be spending a lot of time, especially the Department and Rules tab, setting up those individualized rules. But first you've got some general settings, and I've decided to call my program the bonus program. You could call it commissions, your choice. I've decided that my bonuses are going to be based on a department by department base, but you could choose job as a whole. I've also picked a start date of June 12, 2013. We do recommend that you use the bonus program for a couple of months before you go live and start handing out bonuses so that you can see how it works and tweak your rules. I do want, for those jobs where having the job paid, I want it 95% or more paid before I pay out a bonus, because often you don't have the money on hand if it hasn't been paid yet. And I don't want my jobs to be available for bonuses until 30 days after completion. Effective job source. I do want my job source to affect the bonus rate because I have program work such as Alacrity or Contractors Collection 800 Respond. These are programs I belong to where the work comes to me with little effort from my employees. Non-program work we work harder for, and I want to give higher bonuses for that type of work. That could be creating relationships with adjusters, agents, and plumbers, putting newspaper ads in, television and radio. Those things take a little more work for my employees to do, so I want the bonuses to be larger. These are the department rules I have set up. I have 4 set up for construction and 5 for water damage, and the different one is the hourly one. We figure hourly rate for the disaster restoration jobs based on the gross profit. We are working on one for hourly for construction, which will be based more on the budget. The first thing I want to do is I want to show you how to create a rule. I'm going to make a rule for fire damage, for the project manager, and anyone in this role. I also want this to only be a bonus for non-program work. I'm going to pay a percentage of the gross profit. And in this particular instance, I want it on the completed and invoiced. I want the job completed and invoiced before we pay out the bonus. Now notice this is the project manager. I'm not at the moment using the definition we saw back in the help about the project manager. This particular project manager just manages jobs. They do not sell them, they do not write the estimates, and they don't do collections. So I just want job completed and invoiced for them. And I want the bonus based on gross profit. Calculated gross profit percent is based on the invoiced amount. I am going to allow negative bonuses, and I want to start there, and the upper level there is 55, and I want 10%. So if the gross profit of this fire damage job comes under 55%, I want a negative bonus. To change the bonuses, just take the next one up and change it, and the program will adjust. Between 55 and 65% gross profit, I don't want any bonuses at all. Now I want 3 positive bonuses, and to change them, again, I just take that 100 and I change it to the level I want, and Chronicle will create another level for me. And again, I want one more level, so I'm going to change that one. Now I have my 3 levels, and I want 10 and 13 and 14%. And now I have created a rule for my project managers who manage a fire damage department. If the gross profit's higher than 85%, they're going to get 14% of that. That's 0.14 times the gross profit. Normally I would save the rule and it would be added to the list, but I have it already saved, so I'm going to go and get it. And now I have my rule added. I want us to look at the project manager rule. Again, this project manager only manages jobs. So the settings at the top of this screen are identical to the one I just created for Fire Damage Project Manager. My percentages are a little different at the bottom of the screen. But this is a construction job, so my upper limit is if the job gross profit falls between 50% and 100%, they're going to get 12% of the gross profit. And I have 2 other positive bonuses, which are less. And if the job falls between 35 and 40% of gross profit, no bonus at all. And I do have negative bonuses here, 2 different levels, because this project manager does have some control over how the job is done. Water Damage Project Manager. The only difference here is at the bottom of the screen, I'm expecting gross profit between 85% and 100%, and if it falls there, they would get 6% of that. And I only have 1 negative bonus because anything below 55% tells me that there might have been a problem with the job or the project manager wasn't paying close enough attention to the job. Another type of rule are for the sales reps. I have one for water damage and one for construction, and these 2 rules are identical because my sales reps only sell jobs. They don't manage jobs, they don't get into Chronicle and work with the job file, so they have no control over that part of the job. All they do is bring in work. So for the non-program work, I want to pay them a collected amount. That means of whatever has currently been paid, I want to give them a percentage of that. So this bonus is available when it's completed and invoiced. It's based on the gross profit, which is calculated on the paid collected amount. So if the gross profit is between 0 and 100%, which would include every single job they bring in, no matter how well or how poorly they did, they're going to get 4% of that job. There is one other way of paying a sales rep, and I'm going to go to my deleted ones, and we're going to look at this one. The top of the screen is same, except this is based on the invoice amount. I'm going to give my sales rep $100 for each and every job they bring in, no matter what the profit was. They bring in a job, they get $100. So you can have a flat rate. Now I would like to look at the hourly rule. This role, hourly laborer, if you remember back in our job roles back in the setup, there is no role for that. The bonus manager goes to the labor manager to figure out who is the hourly labor on this job, and that's where it pulls that information from. So any employee in this role in the job, meaning any employee in the labor manager who's accrued labor on this job, is included in this role. I want only non-program work. I've checked the second one. I want to pay a percent of the difference between target and actual times multiplied by gross profit. And here's the example. If a labor percent rule gives bonuses for 0 to 16%, and if you look at the bottom, we have one positive bonus, 0 to 16%. And the job has 14% labor. In other words, they came in 2% under my target. So that's the difference between actual, 14, and target, 16. We would take that 2%, the difference between the two percentages, and multiply them times the gross profit. So that means 0.02 times the gross profit on this job is what I'm going to give the employees who worked on this job in an hourly rate. So I'm going to give them 100% of that 2%. And it's going to be prorated. So we remember back, Jason was only there 2 hours and Frank was there 18 hours. Frank will get more of the bonus than Jason will. And the computer does the math. Now I want to look at our calculations. So I want to do it by employee, and I'm telling this program to run the report. It's broken out by employee. We have Frank at the top of the screen. He's our sales rep. Remember, they get 4% off the top no matter what the gross profit was. And these to the right are the proposed bonuses. And I'm not going to change any of them because the agreement with Frank is that he gets 4% of every job that he brings in. Hank is an hourly employee. And for him, we would look at the labor rates. We have a column, labor percent of payment, as we set up for our rule, that if any of these percentages come in under 16%, Hank, if you look to the right, is going to get a bonus based on how much time he spent on the job. And you'll notice the third one, there is no bonus because it was 21%, which is over the 16, and our rule says no bonus. Now I would like to look at Peter. Peter is my project manager, and right now his bonuses are calculated on the generic rules. I've hired Peter because he does everything: sales, estimating, managing job, and collections. And in a moment we're going to make a specific rule for him. But for now we can look at the jobs that he does have a bonus for, and he has a negative bonus on this job. And I'm going, well, Peter does great work. I don't understand what happened because the job feedback is very positive. And the activities and documents were in on time and the department was only 4 days late. So what happened? It's 34% gross profit on this job. I can double click on Kim and open the job file and go look at the journal to see what happened on the job. And I have job details. It turns out that the re-roofing of the back porch that needed to be done had more problems, hidden rot, and other problems on the job, such as trying to get a hold of the customer and ordered the wrong color. So everything that could go wrong on this job went wrong. But I'm going to leave negative bonus in place. Because the profit margin is so low, I still need to run the business, and Peter did the estimate and did the site visit and perhaps should have done a little better job on figuring out that there was more there than met the eye. On the same job for David Tennant, I want to take a look at his negative bonus as well. David's job in our company is a coordinator, and he doesn't do production. He doesn't go out on jobs. He doesn't do site visits. He primarily does the production performance of completing activities in the job file, taking care of documents, and communicating with customers. And I look at that portion of the screen and I see that things are acceptable with activities and documents, and there was a very positive review. I wonder what the positive review was. Again, I'm going to go back to the job file, and I'm going to look at the feedback. It's very positive because my employees were courteous, and the crew chief was very polite and understanding. So it wasn't that our employees had a rough time with the customer. Other things went wrong. So David's portion of the job, or what he was responsible for, was done satisfactorily. But because the profit margin is so low, I'm not going to give him a bonus, but I'm also not going to give him a negative bonus. So I'm going to override that amount, and we're just going to make it neutral. Because David has other jobs with positive bonuses, he's still getting a bonus, just not on that job because the profit margin is 34%. Now, I want to go and set up rules for a specific employee, and I need to start with employee eligibility. None of my employees currently are set up for customized rules. I'm going to take Peter and I'm going to customize for him. If you set an employee to use custom rules, that employee will only get bonuses from specific rules to that employee. General bonus rules will no longer have an effect for that employee, and I'm going to set Peter to these specific rules, which means back in my rules department, none of the rules I have created here now will apply to Peter. So if I run my bonus calculator again, and yes, I'm going to lose any settings I've made if I refresh this screen. If you look now, Peter is not in this list. It is because I'm going to make specific rules for Peter. So I'm going to add a rule. I'm going to make it for construction, project manager, Peter. I want it to apply to all sources. I want gross profit. And this time I do want completed and paid, because Peter's job description is that he does sales, estimating, project manager, managing jobs, and I also have him do some collections. I want to follow through the end of the job, which is getting payment, before I give him a bonus. It's going to be based on the gross profit, and I want it calculated on the invoiced amount. And so again, I'm going to allow negative bonuses because this is a high level of responsibility. I'm going to start with this one here. I want 3 levels of positive bonuses. And you'll notice that this 17% is exactly what it was in our help file. That's the highest suggested that we were using. You could go higher, you could go lower. But this is a construction job, and I am expecting the gross profit to be 50% or better for the highest level. Again, I would save this rule, but since I already have it saved, I'm simply going to come in here and I'm going to add it. This one is for Peter, as you see to the right, for Peter Fleming. I wish to undelete that one. I've also created one for Peter in water, and I'm going to undelete that one as well and go back to my active. And now when I go to my bonus calculator, I run and refresh the report. Peter has returned to my list. Now if we look at that job that had such difficulties, you'll see that his negative bonus has increased. That's because his specific rule, because of his level of responsibility, the percentages are bigger. I'm going to take more away when a job doesn't go well. And again, this particular job just had difficulties. And again, the estimate and perhaps the site visit needed to be more in depth. So I'm going to leave that one, that negative bonus there, but Peter is still going to get a bonus from these other two jobs. So these other two jobs added together minus the negative bonus comes up with the $32.70 that Peter will get for his bonuses. I must remember I want David set to 0 because that was something beyond his control, but I can't give him a bonus for being such a pleasant person to the customer because my profit margin is low. I want to look at one more rule, which I have saved, this particular sales rep. There is the flat rate that you can give of $100 per job. Back to my bonus manager. You can also look at these bonuses by department, construction, and water. You can look at them by role, sales rep, estimator, and job by job. Now I'm going to approve of these jobs. Let me see, I'm going to go here. I'm going to postpone. I'm not going to do bonuses for that one yet, or that one, or this one. Not ready to do Kim. So what I'm left with on the screen are the bonuses that I plan to approve at this time. I can see what the rules are. I've water damage coordinator, and I've got my hourly rate labor and my project manager and my sales rep. And you can see what the gross profit thus far on the invoices, that these are all pretty high. So I'm going to go and post these bonuses. I'm going to review the posted bonuses. And here is Martha Kent. And that's today. If I wanted to look at this month, I would see that I have more approved bonuses and one has been paid. And this is a place where your accountant should come in here to look, or someone needs to tell the accountant that these amounts need to be paid to these employees. And as they are paid, someone needs to come in here and mark them as paid. Now, I want to log in as David Tennant and look at my bonuses. Going to Financial tab, to the Bonus Manager. I want you to notice that David only has access to the approved bonuses. He can't get into Setup, and he can't go to the bonus calculator. And David is set at a level 5. He can only see the bonuses that he's been approved for, and he can see whether they've been entered into the payroll system or not. And that's our bonus manager. I hope when you set up your bonus program that you do well, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to send us email at the webinar@gochronicle.com or training@gochronicle.com.